Hey everybody, it's Robert and you're watching Sidestep Adventures, and today I'm going on a big adventure with my friends Dan, you guys already know Dan, and Brent, who has just actually started a new YouTube channel that I'll get him to tell you all about at the end of this video. But we're gonna go on all sorts of adventure today. We were driving down, I took the panel truck down here and we're driving down this crazy dirt road, and I didn't know where you were bringing me to.
In the middle of nowhere.
The middle of nowhere. That's the best place to be. So we're actually already at one of the sites here.
All right, so actually we're down on a piece of hunting property that me and my family have leased for a number of years. We're at the camp, and coincidentally our camp is right here built up against old home place, or what I feel like is a home place. We're gonna let Robert and Dan tell us really what this thing is, because not really sure, to be honest with you guys.
All right, and Dan, you might be able to provide some intel on this site.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious that it is an old chimney foundation there, and this looks like it might have been a chimney on this side of the house too. Maybe a chimney on each end, I think. I've never been this far back in here in my lifetime, but I have always heard that back down this road that we just came down was the old home place of Loudy and Louisa Layfield. And we're talking about early settlement, or early settlers, and they lived back in here and lived to be really old, the two of them. And they had a big farm back here. And you know, look at the size of that cedar tree there. This is an old place. And I would say this is probably the Loudy Layfield home place.
Out here on the road, this continues to wash. Well, we found all kinds of porcelain. We found horseshoes, and I was telling these guys earlier, we actually found a piece of a gun, an old shotgun here back. It's been 5, 6, 7 years ago. But every time it rains, you'll find something, you know, new that comes up.
All right, so we'll walk over here into this home site. So this is big pile that they were just talking about, possibly a chimney pile right here. And you said a lot of this stuff had been pushed up here?
So when this place was logged, I think that's what you're looking at is where the tractors would have come in and pushed some of this up. When they were cutting. I know that this particular place that the camp is on would have been a loading place for timber when they were, you know, pulpwooding or cutting or whatever. So they would have pushed all this up, cleared out a place, and the trucks would have been, you know, loaded here.
So the best part of this house that's intact, and you can tell that there was a home site here, is going to be right back here. This is also what we're talking about, an old chimney foundation right here.
That is the lid to either a Helms or a Laura Large snuff jar. That's a part of the lid. About halfway back from the highway up there, when I was probably about 14 years old, I stayed after my dad to go metal detecting. And he had permission from the Cook family to go onto some of the land back up there, and where the Cook's father and grandfather had a blacksmith shop. So we came down here, and he told me, no, we're not going down there. It's springtime, snakes are crawling. I said, no, it's still cool. So we wound up coming down here, and we got out and was looking around, and it was all kind of neat things there. I mean, it was the foundation of a blacksmith shop, and the forge and everything was still, it was visible. And I remember a sheet of tin being there, and we stepped on that sheet of tin going over to reach to get something, and he had a hoe like this one, and he pulled that sheet of tin back, and it was the biggest rattlesnake either one of us had ever seen in our lives. And he made me get in the truck, and we left and never came back down here. This is my first time back in here now, since then.
Well, I tell you what, where we're fixing to go is going to be plenty of chances, maybe to even see you another rattlesnake.
Hopefully they're not crawling yet.
It's time. It's time. A couple weeks out from turkey season. Shoot, it's perfect time for them. I'm just gonna let you walk in front of everybody.
There's a very old half a horseshoe.
So we're walking through the woods, going to the next place that Brent's taking us to, and I just happened to stop and look up for a minute and see all this terraced land right up here on this hill coming down to this creek bottom. You can see the first terrace right there, and then a couple more going up. And it just adds to the thing that you're walking around in the woods and seemingly in the middle of nowhere, and there have been people here. People have been farming this land, even though it doesn't look like anybody's lived here. You know, 150 years ago somebody was out here farming this land.
You terraced it to keep it from eroding and washing away, but you could farm on those flat surfaces, whereas you couldn't farm on the side of a hill. And the early planters that came in here actually had a tripod thing that you would set up called a terrace level. And they knew how to use that. And they had mules and pans, and they would pull the mules and pans along the sides of the hillsides going down to these bottoms. And they were just trying to utilize every square foot of land that they had, because you know they came from other places here and settled, and this was all just wilderness. There was nothing here, and they had to, most of them didn't see the land before they got here. They bought it sight unseen, or either they drew it in the land lottery. They didn't know what they were getting until they got here, and they had to make do with what they had. Here's a videotape me coming down that hill.
Just in case you fell.
Yeah.
Trying to get footage of somebody's
If that gets started in here, it's worse than wisteria.
Oh really? What is it?
Bamboo.
Oh, is it?
Uh-huh. See that?
Oh yeah, sure enough. Sure enough.
It's just getting started. Within 10 years, you won't be able to walk through here.
So originally, we thought this was an Indian like burial mound, okay? So we have always like just been totally wigged out about coming down here and hunting and walking out of this place at night. And up until, I guess about 3 years ago is when we kind of figured maybe it wasn't what we thought it was. But there's been a many a nights that we walked as far around this as we could, because I mean it was just like a spooky place. And I remember my brother was on this other side of here hunting here back, and I had basically the Indian cemetery between him and the camp, and old bobcats got to screaming like they do, right? I don't know if you guys ever heard bobcats, but it is a wild sound. So anyway, I had already made it back. He called me. He said, "You hear that?" He was like, "Where's that at?" I want y'all to know that boy walked as far, because this is the straight line to get back to the road, you know, to get back to the camp. And man, he walked all the way around. It took him almost an hour to get back to the camp because he didn't want to walk, you know, past this what we thought was a grave. So anyway, but that's where we're heading. Let's go check it out. Way down there. Pretty cool, huh? What do you boys think?
My first thought is this is where they made syrup.
Oh, cool.
Cane syrup. Because that long area on the front of it would have been where they would have the pan for cooking the syrup.
Right. Oh, so the plot has a twist.
So, but it could have been used for other things after that, though. But I believe that's a syrup.
Very cool, very cool. That's almost as good as a steel, really. Oh, no, I tell you what, it's probably better than a steel, actually. So Dan, the reason I question, okay, I've had two questions, or I've had two thoughts on it. So the reason I wondered about it being the steel was because I was watching TV and I actually saw some video with Popcorn Sutton, and they had this identical, and when I say identical thing built. The only thing that I wondered, and I think I even said something to Robert when I was telling him about it, I never seen any burn, any soot, anything where it would indicate there was some burning. But if they were making syrup here, there still would have been fire, correct?
That's right.
Which I've never seen any evidence of. Now, I've never dug this out neither, but I will show you guys, we have been here before, me and my family. And this is some stuff that we found that we left. I did not carry this back with us. And of course we got the metal detector, so we're gonna look for some, to see what kind of other stuff is here. But obviously there was implements, which would go with what you said about some type of farming that was going on, around the time. Tons of horseshoes we found here. That may be an elephant shoe, I'm not sure. Maybe. Anyway, and just like I said, lots and lots and lots of really cool, just bits and pieces of stuff. And then we got the metal detector, and we're gonna see if there's some more stuff. There was a whole bunch here. Don't know what that is. I like my idea of an elephant shoe, to be honest with y'all, but I don't guess that's what it's gonna be.
But I tell you what, I'm with Dan on this one. I've never seen one in the wild for a syrup, where you'd make syrup, but at Gerald Plantation, they've got one on display there right beside their well, and it looks almost identical to this.
Really?
Long, with a chimney on this end, and they had a big syrup kettle right down in the middle there. But, there's no telling what it was used for later on, like Dan said, but I'd think that too.
Like I said, I like that better than being a steel. That's a lot more interesting.
It's a lot older.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask. It would be, so if this was syrup, this have a little bit of age on it.
Absolutely.
In the early days of settlement, they made their own alcohol for, medicinal purposes and drinking or whatever. But they did make it. And in the early days, there were no revenue agents going around busting up steel and things. They got out and made it on their farm. So, the owner of this farm could have had his own steel down here. And this is old. This is early rock work. It's been there a long time. These pieces here almost look like a nozzle.
I think so. Yeah, it almost looks like some type of fuel nozzle, don't it?
Yeah. They are not as old as everything else here. The plow point and those things are ancient, but this is later years.
Very interesting, very cool. I can tell you that now.
Did you find those metal detectors?
All that was here, yeah. So we'll get the metal detector, and we'll hit a couple of places. Let's see if we find something else. me and the kids came down here, and my wife, and to be honest with you, we were digging up so much stuff, we finally just, we was like, okay, that's it, let's go. So.
Those folks down here in the south call them boogies.
Whatever that list of stuff you had a minute ago.
All right, guys, well, we are about to go to our next destination, but that is going to be another video. So make sure you like and subscribe for that next video. And thank you, Dan, for joining us out here today. And before we go, Brent, like I said earlier, just started a new YouTube channel. So tell us about your new channel real quick.
So I'm a 3-year cancer survivor. And I have a channel that basically what I'm trying to do is help people who've dealt with some of the same stuff that I've dealt with, things that I'm still in treatment, so I'm going through things currently. And so the channel is kind of, you know, to help people through, like I said, some of those things that I've dealt with. And also, the channel is called Life After Diagnosis. And really what it's about is kind of exactly what I'm doing right now. A lot of people, you know, waste so much time, you know, after the diagnosis, and, you know, the depression. And you guys that you know, if y'all have dealt with anybody with cancer, know anybody with cancer, these are things that, you know, go through the mind. A lot of times that's it. They think life's over, and sometimes it's not, and we end up wasting the time. So that's what my channel's about. I'm gonna be doing some stuff, you know, some just different stuff. And again, just want you guys to see there's just so much more than, you know, to life than just giving up and not doing anything. So anyway, check it out, Life After Diagnosis.